All right, greetings and welcome to the WyoAstro channel. This is the first official video. I've done a couple of other videos, but they've been for other channels, but this one is specific for this. And the goal of this channel will be to share what I've learned, to learn something for sure, and to just, I don't know, show you what I'm experiencing when I'm doing it. So I'll be processing a lot of photos. I'll be taking a lot of astro photos, and I will be building an observatory later on this year. So there's a lot to go over. There's a lot to go through, a lot of rabbit holes to go down. God, electrical wire. There's a rabbit hole to go down for sure. Just trying to figure out how to do a observatory 500 feet from the circuit breaker panel. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, let's go for a ride. In the end, I think we're going to have some fun. Hopefully, I'm probably a fairly boring person, but screw it. Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll teach me something. Maybe you won't. I'm not going to try and be fancy about this. I'm not going to try and make sure everything's slick. I'm just going to show you. So with that said, screw it. Let's do the first video. I'm going to process M106. I took this the other evening, and the data looks okay. It's not too bad. So let's see what we get. It's one evening of 3-second or 3-minute shots. See, there's the professionalism right there. So 3-minute shots, there's 145 of them. Now let's see what we get. I mean, I'll probably do this again and add to it, and maybe we'll see what that looks like reprocessed. But let's go ahead and process this one tonight. So here goes. All right, this is the image that has been run through the batch processing, weighted batch pre-processing. I've got an output, and this is the file, the auto-cropped output. So let's see what we've got. And magically, you're going to know that I'm working with a color camera. So this is a ASI 2600 MC Pro on an EdgeHD 8. All that riding on an EQ6R. One of these videos, I'll go over the adventure I've had with my used Paramount MX, but that'll be for later. All right, so first things first, I'm going to clear up this color cast using spectrophotometric color calibration. And everything in here is actually default and accurate. I did not use any filters on this particular image. So it's just got the UV IR cut window on the 2600, and it is a Sony IMX sensor. So yeah, let's just go ahead and use the defaults. I will pick something in the background here. So I'm going to come up here to my new preview mode. Click on that. And I'm going to grab a section of this sky just to say this is the plain piece of sky here. Okay, and then I'm going to take this preview and I'm going to drag it. Oops. Come with me. I'm going to drag it over to there. Okay, and that's going to pick that out. So basically I picked a piece of very bare sky. And make sure you come back and pick here before you actually try and run this, because you can't run it on the preview. So let's see what we get. And I'm not going to speed any of this up. It's a pretty fast machine. It's a Mac Studio on a Apple M1 chip, and it seems to run pretty good. All right, so that's done. And let's restretch that or renuke it and see what we got. That's pretty good. So there's some reasonable data there. And now we can come over here and we can delete that preview. You will notice that there does seem to be a bit of a color cast going across this. We definitely have some nearly full moon during these shots. So I am going to run my favorite new tool, Graxpert. It's pretty easy to install, and I've got it running. I'm just going to run the defaults on here. So I'm going to drag it and drop it on the picture and see what Graxpert produces. These tools, I'm running some of the Russell Croman stuff, the Star Exterminator, Blur Exterminator, and Noise Exterminator. And while they're not free, they are pretty much indispensable at this point. Pretty astonishing stuff. If you forget to accurately do your backspacing, Blur Exterminator will actually fix it for you. Not that you want to do that, just saying that's what you can do. So let's have a look. So this is not too bad. This is kind of a green cast, but if we restretch that, it'll be gone. So that is the gradient Graxpert, gradient removal tool Graxpert. Did a pretty darn nice job. It even allows us to see this little galaxy here, little galaxy here. There's a fairly nice one right there. There's one up here. There's another one over here. So there's quite a bit of stuff here to see. So that's pretty nice. All right. Next thing I'm going to run is Blur Exterminator. And I usually run this mostly off of my refractors. This 8-inch EdgeHD with proper backspacing is pretty darn good. I have to admit that the stars are pretty round. There's a little bit of distortion in them. You can see a few colors across them. And we'll zoom in on a couple of these. So let's go look at this real bright one right here. We'll zoom in and we'll take that off. And now I can see a little bit of a pink tinge here. And a little bit of a green tinge there. And running Blur Exterminator basically just eliminates that. That's really quite amazing. Let's go look and see if we got anything for it with the defaults. So did we get much? Well, we did get a little bit of improvement here. I think the biggest thing here for me is, did I add any detail that doesn't exist? And I try to be careful. These are the defaults. I haven't changed these from the defaults because I don't seem to be able to improve what the defaults are. And I just seem to make a mess every time I try. So I think that's pretty good. And I'm not uncomfortable with that result. So understanding also that in the end, this is an art project. Being accurate is really up to you. How accurate do you want to be? For me personally, I'm kind of halfway in between. I want to be accurate, but I also want to make sure that I get, as much out of the data that I can get. So, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to leave that alone. So we've blur exterminated that. So we got a hair bit more detail here, and it really cleaned up those stars really well. So next thing on the list for my particular workflow is to get rid of the stars. So let's do that now. We'll just, once again, we're going to unscreen. I know there are people who swear that you can't unscreen a non-stretched picture, but I've been through this 1,000 different times, and I just feel like the unscreen option here just seems to work better than the just basic star exterminator layout, which has unscreened stars left. So I think it's just pretty much your preference at this point, but I like unscreen. Anyway, we're going to rename this stars right now, and we're going to set him aside because we're going to come back to him later. All right, and this is the image I have left. Let's rename him as well. We'll call him Starless and get that done. So we can use these names later with some pixel math that I built over here to rescreen the stars. Okay, so we've got that done, and let's go ahead and remove the STF. All right, so I used GHS for a while, and I don't think I'm getting anything from it that I couldn't get naturally by stretching the image and using curves. So I think that I'm just going to go ahead and use the histogram stretch from here. I'll open up a preview, and because this is, a fairly dim object, you can do a lot of stretching on this before you see anything, but you don't want to just go kind of nuts. So for me, I come about halfway towards nothing, and I'm just going to go ahead and accept that. And I'm just going to keep accepting that halfway until such time that I start to really see the curve come out of the sides. Actually, I need to give my preview on there. So I'm starting to see the actual light curve show up here. So that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and accept that one more time, and then I'll reset. So I just use the reset button here because I want to go grab the dark end of this and pull that in a little bit too. And there is a little clipping going on here, but it's kind of impossible to clip nothing. But I'm going to run this right up to where I start to see this drop off. So right there, and I'm going to back it off a hair. I'm going to accept that and reset it. Then I'll pull on this a little bit more. I'm going to start to see there's a little bit of stuff here, and I really don't want to clip any of the actual bright stuff. So I'm going to probably go about right in there. Let's go ahead and accept that. Maybe pull those blacks just a hair more. Nah, I don't like it. Screw it. I think we're done here. So we're done with that particular bit, which is the histogram stretch. So this is what we're left with, and this image is no longer flat. It is stretched. All right, so next step for me is Noise Exterminator. And I didn't run it before because every time I do, I feel like I get this weird splotchiness in the background of images, and it's really, really hard to get rid of, and it really stretches too, and it just makes it really obvious and ugly. So I've started using Noise Exterminator after I've stretched an image to at least a certain extent. So let's go ahead and run him now and see what we get. All right, so that's done. I can come in here, and yeah, I mean, there's a little splotchiness, but that's no big deal. Most of that's going to be gone when we run this through curves. So that's pretty good. I like it. All right, so next, now that I've noise exterminated that, I would normally run into curves and start pulling on it, but in this particular case, this galaxy is also already pretty bright right here. And I really don't want to lose all these little nodules right in here, all this little stuff. I don't want to lose any of that. And some of this is already pretty bright. So let's go ahead and build a mask for this before we really start pulling on the curves. And I watched a video on this quite some time ago. I don't even remember who it was, but it was absolutely brilliant. and I've been using this methodology ever since. Just pull up the ACDNR process. So first things first, let's duplicate. And let's call this mask. Oop, identifier right there. And we will call him mask. And we're going to pull him down here a little bit. And then we're going to run the ACDNR process. And there's a lightness mask setting here. And once we go to preview, I get this. Now, I don't want any of this stuff out here to be masked because I want to stretch all this data out in here. So I'm going to come over here to my shadows. And I'm just going to pull all that out. All right, so that kind of gets rid of the dark stuff out here. And I'll pull in the midtones a little bit as well to get rid of the last little bits. But some of these bright stars are these little bright splotches. I'm going to keep those. And then for highlights, I'm actually going to push these a little bit. Okay, so now I've got a mask for the core and a little bit of the outside so that I don't overdo it. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that mask. I'm going to hit OK, apply it, and then I'll close my preview window. So now I've got this mask. But if I was to apply this mask, it would be very, very sharp, meaning that every time I made any adjustment, there would be this obvious edge. So I do want to soften it up. And I just used the basic convolution standard settings. Didn't even make any adjustments because I can run this thing more than one time. I'm just going to pull him over and convolute it. And if you don't think that's soft enough, then just do it again. So now I've got a really, really blurry mask, but it's going to cover up the stuff that I really want to save. So the way you apply that mask to this image is you're just going to grab right here, and you're going to drag him to the sidebar of your image. And that turns kind of a reddish color. And once you close your mask, you'll see it. So you can see in red where your masks are applied. All right. So let's open up curves. Let's put them in RGB and give ourselves a preview window. All right, so here's our preview. And we can do some crazy stuff. So if we grab right here and we go nuts, you can actually see the edge of our mask pretty badly. And I don't want to do that. We want to do some subtle adjustments here. So we're going to come up here to the high end. And I want to pull up the high stuff. But notice it's not really affecting what's here in the middle. And we can even zoom in on that by clicking here and just making a square. So let's reset and pull him again. So I'm not really losing any of that stuff in the center because of the mask. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's not get too aggressive here because I'm going to run this more than once. And then I'll pull down on the darks. All right, so let's go ahead and run that. That's pretty good. But this is previewing what the next one would be. So if I click on this again, this is what I'm going to end up with as a picture. And I think I'm okay with that, actually. I'm going to do that. Is this getting to be a bit too much? Let's take another look. Maybe. I'm not sure I want to toy with that middle anymore. So let's go back out here and let's reset that. Let's pull a little more on the middle. Leave these down and pull this down as well. So I want to pull on that middle stuff, but not so much on the highlights. That's not too bad. Let's go ahead and take that. And that would obviously be too much. Okay, so I'm not sure there's much more I can get out of this. I mean, maybe if we play with really, really dark stuff. Yeah, I'm just losing too much. And then even my mask isn't preventing that from just over popping a little bit too much there in the middle. So I think I'm going to call this one done. This is about as much as I'm going to get out of this data. Maybe if I come back and add another couple of nights into this or another night or whatever, maybe I could get a little more out of it. But I think this is about what I can get out of this data. All right. Now that I've got basically the luminosity where I want to, I'm going to come over here to the saturation and I'm going to pull once again on the bright stuff. You can really see that blue start to pop out. But I don't want the darkness to turn blue. So I'll do the same thing here, another light curve, a little S curve. And I'm going to click on that. That's not too bad. But let's go ahead and back that change out, because one of the things we have to understand here is our mask is still applied. So let's close that. And I don't know if you have to close all this. Maybe you don't, but my experience is better to just close it. So let's come here and take our mask. And let's remove the mask for now. Okay, we still have him if we want him for something else. So let's come back to curves again. Open up a preview. We're still in saturation. That's great. And let's pull on these midtones and see what we get in the core. Be careful not to clip those tops out. And that's pretty good. Let's take that. Okay, and without any additional changes to this, I still think we can run that again. So I'm going to do that again. That's pretty good. I'm really starting to see some blue here. I mean, the blue is definitely there. We're not inventing it. I think, I'd be happy with that image, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. And now I think we're getting a little much. So if I take that back off there, I think I can live with that. The core is a little boring, and I do think there is some color there. So what I'm going to do is close this. And I'm going to put our mask back on. But I'm going to invert it. So let's put the mask back on. Reclose that. And now I'm going to go to mask here, and I'm going to do invert. So now I'm going to just try and get some color out of this without really screwing around with the rest of this background. So let's see what we can do with curves and saturation here. So let's apply, get ourselves a preview, and let's see what we can get out of that core. And while we're here, let's just go ahead and zoom in. Fine, that's our core. Let me reset that. So it's kind of gray. Maybe there's a hint of color in there, but if I pull on these midtones, I start to see some reddish, kind of a rusty reddish glow in here. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to knock these down because it's not really affecting the background because of the mask. So I'd like to see this color showing up in here. So let's go ahead and accept that. And every time you accept, you know it's going to do this. So this is if I leave this mask alone, this is what it would look like if I accepted it again. So I'm going to reset that. Let's zoom back in. All right. And if we pull a little harder, again, start to get more of that sun color coming out. And I'm getting a little pink over here. But I don't know if I want to go too much further. I think, once again, we're kind of at the limit of the data. Let me back that out. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop there. So let's close our preview. Let's remove our mask. Let's kind of zoom in and see what we got here. Okay, I'm pretty okay with that. I don't feel like that's horribly overprocessed. These dark lanes are pretty real. Yeah, I'm okay with that. All right, what's left, right? So we're still missing stars. So this is our very nice galaxy image, and we're missing the last little bit, which is stars. And we saved that for last. So we're going to take the stars, and I'm going to use GHS because I like GHS for this. Oh, that was pretty interesting. I think I just crashed Pixinsight. Or removed it off the screen. Not sure what that was about, but we're back. Okay. So I'm going to leave this right at 0, right? So I'm not going to try and find a set point. The set point on this image is 0. It's the sky. It's black. So let's just leave him at 0. We're going to grab our stretch factor here, and we're just going to start pulling on it. Oh, we do need a preview, don't we? All right, so let's pull on that. And you can kind of see, I mean, if you pull too much, what you get for it. If you don't pull enough, you don't really get any of the stars. But let's see what we can do here. I kind of like to pull until I see an area that's got bright stars and dim stars. And I think up here is looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and click our little squares here and build ourselves a little close-up. Then we can have a look at our stars and see what we're doing to them. So here's nothing. And here's a little pull. Here's too far. Start to see, you know, the data is just making a mess around here. So we don't want to go that far. So we want to pull right about there. See, if I pull a little more, I get the halos. And I pull there. That seems pretty good. And I see some of these dim stars in the background, which is really good. If you think the stars are too big, you can also come down to local intensity. And if you pull a little bit, basically he'll create more of a halo around the star instead of making the entire star kind of a white color. All right, and maybe I pulled on that a little too hard. There, I didn't want to get rid of some of that halo there. Okay, that's pretty good. Not too bad. Let's accept that and see what we got. So this is, oops, go away. So this is our new stars image, and that looks okay. I would like to put a little color in here. So let's come back to curves, open up a preview window, make sure we're on saturation. Now let's pull up the bright stuff and knock down the darks. Make sure we don't clip. All right, and let's go ahead and accept that. And we can just keep kind of popping on this until we get happy. Okay, that's not too bad. Let me pull one more. Yeah, I don't want to go nuts here. I don't want these to turn an odd color, but I do want to see some color in them. So I see some blue up here. I see some red in here, and I think that's pretty good. If I back that off, yeah, I'm still happy with that. Okay, good. So this is our new stars image, and we've added some color to the stars. Now's the time, if you want to come back here and you want to knock this down a little bit, you think it's a little too gray, you can do that now. But let's put the stars on it first and see what it looks like. So I mentioned earlier I had some pixel math. So if I unscreen the stars, I use this rescreen stars pixel math. And if I use star exterminator, I use this combined stars and starless. So the combined stars and starless is literally combined stars, starless, and screen. And rescreen stars is this formula, which, to be fair, I've completely stolen from other people because I have no idea how that particular math works. So nonetheless, let's go ahead and, if you look here, starless and stars are in lowercase, and over here, stars and starless are in uppercase. So if I tried to run this one, it's going to fail because that's not what the pictures are named, so I get failures. If I try and run this one, I'm going to get my stars screened back onto my galaxy image. And that's pretty good. That's not too bad. Like I said, this is your art project, and you get to decide what you're happy with. And in this particular case, I do think I would like to knock down that background a little more. It just seems a little overly gray. Now, some of that's because it was a full moon, and there's not much I can do about that. But this is my art project, so I'm going to make the sky a little darker. So I'm going to back that off, and I'm going to open up curves and just grab the luminosity here. Let's just pull, got a preview. Let's pull down on the darks. And I don't think I'm going to lose too much detail here. I can try and come back over here and pull up on the brights, but I just want to kind of get back anything I've lost. And I don't want to go much further than that. Let's go ahead and accept this one. Then let's close it and have a look. So this is the last change I made. That's the change before it. Let's change. So am I losing anything here? Kinda, right? So let's zoom in and let's look at what I'm losing. Losing a little bit of detail in there. Let's look at these little things here. See what we get. Those actually don't do too bad. In my opinion, I think I would rather be here than here. I just feel like it gets a little too dark, and I just kind of lose some of the grandness of that galaxy. So let's go ahead and not do that last one and kind of stay here. And now I'll probably get shot for this, but some people who shall remain nameless think that this might be a good time to come in and run another run of Blur Exterminator. So let's give that a try and see what it does for us, and you can decide whether or not this is something you would like to do for yourself or not. And once again, understanding this is your art project, and you get to make this whatever you want. So the purists won't do this. The non-purists very well may. It just depends. So this is what we're getting after another run of Blur Exterminator. Let's undo it and see what we're getting or not getting. For me, I don't really want to create things that don't exist. And boy, I gotta tell you, this really feels like I am. Especially like right in here. And this is reasonably flat. And if I really zoom in, I can kind of see some detail there. Let's reapply. Well, I don't know. I think let's come here. Let's duplicate this image. And we're going to call this one Starless Blur Exterminator _ once. We'll just say once. BE once. Okay. So we're going to take this guy and we're going to leave him alone. And this one, we are going to apply that last blur exterminator. He's already named Starless. So let's go ahead, rescreen our stars on him. And then we can rename him Starless _ BE _ twice. Okay, we've done that. So let's come back to this guy. And for the sake of not having to rewrite our pixel math, I'm just going to do that and drag that on there. So now we've got two images that we can choose from. I've got a version that's got Blur Exterminator run on it twice, and I've got a version that's got it run once. So this is the twice, and that's the once. I mean, there's a very distinct difference between the two of these, no doubt about it. This detail in here is quite a bit more pronounced. And over here, you can see it's much softer. So let's zoom in on him, right on that core. We'll zoom in on this one right on the core. Oops, a little too much. There we go. Let's bring him over here. Bring him over here. And you can see a very distinct difference between these two. But honestly, this is a choice. Some of these details may or may not look a little manufactured to you. And honestly, I think I'm on the fence at this point. I like both of them. I like the authenticity of the one on the right, and the one on the left I really think looks amazing. I just don't know if I've invented some detail that didn't exist before. But once again, this is your choice to make. So once or twice. And we can look at them zoomed back out with our stars on top. That's twice, that's once. Yeah, they both have an appeal, that's for sure. And I definitely like both, and I kind of dislike both. Once again, if this is your art project, you get to make that decision. All right. So with that said, I think I'll call this one quits. I used to pull these out and processing in Photoshop, and I've reached the point where I just don't feel like I need to do that anymore, or I just don't see the benefit of it past what I can do right here with curves, and which is kind of really what you're doing in Photoshop anyway, but your choice. Hate to keep saying it, this is your art project. So you get to make that choice. I'm going to post one of these to Instagram under the WyoAstro Instagram. And you can guess which one I haven't decided yet. So hopefully this was entertaining at the very least. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't, but happy to hear your comments for sure. If there's something in here I've done that doesn't make any sense and you feel like there's a better way to do it, please let me know. And I will more than happily come back and retry this in a different way. Happy to do it. Happy to learn. Happy to move forward. So, yeah, 2 very different images at this point. All right, so that's it. Thanks for watching if you stuck all the way to here, and hopefully you come back, and I'll see you again.